Can we get back to the evidence,
We know
please?
from the text stream data that you drove 33 feet at least, because it only picks up a 10-second window. And when it starts to pick up the data, we know she's driving at a speed. So it's more than 33 feet. We just don't know. And then when she comes back, she covers the 33 feet and 50 more. 80 feet. 80 feet. Over 80 feet. Now, nobody has ever suggested, even Dr. Welcher, when she collided with them. This data doesn't tell you collision. It's a 6,000-pound Lexus. It's a 216-pound man. It's not going to show a blip. It could have been in that 10-second window.
It could have.
2 seconds after. It could have been 4 seconds after. But it's in that pocket of time, and we know it. We know it because when you reconcile the data with the phone, that 20 seconds is in the same window of that 10-second window coming back. So even if it's a couple seconds later, 4 seconds later, whatever Mr. DeSorga wants, he stops moving. John O'Keefe stops moving. Forever. Forever. Have slide 6, please.
Better not be another clip from an interview.
You'll get to see this more closely, and you can probably see it where you're sitting, but there's important data. Data doesn't lie. And you will see acceleration, 75%. You will see speed, 24 miles per hour backwards. You will see distance, over 80 feet. That's what you're going to see in this data on that night.
Yeah, cool. But the last thing we saw were the ARCA 4K high def videos of how there's no way John O'Keefe had that happen to him. Not at 15 miles an hour, not at 24 miles an hour, not at 29 miles an hour, not decelerating at 17.9 miles per hour. It did not happen. And it's been shown over and over. It was shown by Aperture on the one test, as Dr. Rentschler said that they did. It was shown that it didn't happen.
Anger, although not necessary in any of these charges, anger can be inferred.
I'm sorry, I'm going to let him talk, guys.
Somebody to come back that hard, that fast, that reckless, that obvious, likely to create a plain and strong likelihood of death. That data tells a story that can't be changed. Can't be attacked. ARCA, they did some crash test dummies. You know what else they do? Text stream data. There's nothing about that data that is uncertain. Nothing. Could you take that down, please? When Miss Reed hits John O'Keefe, collides with John O'Keefe.
It didn't happen.
We don't know if he went in the air a foot. We don't know if it was how much of a clip it was. We don't know if he stumbled back. But we know there's a collision. There's no doubt there's a collision because her taillight's all over the yard. It's all over the yard. And when he falls back, it hits the back of his head, his basal fracture. He's then lying there helpless. When Miss Reed leaves, she leaves behind tons of her taillight all over the yard. All over the yard. It's called the debris field. And you've seen videos. You can't replicate the exact contact. You can't because you need where the person was hit, how fast the person was going, but you know what happened because when you look at the debris field, when a light is broken, it's no different than what was on the front yard. It's no different. She leaves him behind. She leaves her taillight behind. She goes home. And on her way home, you know she's still angry. You know she's still angry because she starts leaving him voicemails. Slide 7, please. Healthcare starts at 12:31:56. 12:32:04 to 12:32:12 is the data which is adjusted when you reconcile the clocks on the Lexus. 12:32:09 is when Mr. O'Keefe closes his phone after looking at Jen McCabe's text. 12:32:16 is his last steps. Mr. DeSorga says that red range should move a little bit, 2 or 3 seconds. They can move it 4 seconds, 5 seconds. It doesn't matter. It's all in the same window. It doesn't change. We could have slide 10, please. Could you play that, please? Thank you. Each one of those pegs represents 10 feet. You can't place that car where it was in front of Fairview. You just can't. The data doesn't tell you that, but that tells you the movements of that car. Now, as John O'Keefe sadly lays on the ground, abandoned.
I do, Stephen. We got to hear him out, though.
You're going to have to ask yourself a question for charge number 3, leaving scene knowing somebody was injured and then died. You're going to have to ask yourself, is there evidence that Miss Reed knew that she had hit him? Don't need to prove it for murder 2. Don't need to prove it for OUI manslaughter. But for the 3rd charge, Commonwealth has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt she knew she hit him. We weren't there, but there was an eyewitness. There was a guide. And that eyewitness tells us that she knew. And that eyewitness is Karen Reed herself. She tells you that she knew. Could we have slide 8, please?
Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?
How could that have been? I mean,
I don't know what that could have been. It was howling wind. I had YouTube blasting on the stereo, and I thought, did he somehow try to flag me down, which was the reaction I was hoping to garner as I slowly pulled away from the house. Did he come out and maybe trip or bend over to pick up his cell phone, and I ran over his foot, and then he passed out drunk? I mean, I didn't think I hit him, but could I have clipped him?
Karen
When she
should not
left
have done these interviews.
Fairview and left John behind. She didn't think he was mortally wounded. But she knew she hit him.
No, she didn't.
And so when she made her way back home, not only did she leave debris field all over the front lawn, but she took evidence with her too. Hair, DNA on the taillight, and she drove back to John's house. And she started calling on the way back, 12:33, just a minute and a half later. And then her messages show her anger. You see, this was John's fault. This was John's fault. And her phone calls tell you about the tone and the destruction of that relationship. 53 phone calls that night. 53 phone calls. Not one to 911. Not one to Jen McCabe, please go outside and try to help. Not one to a hospital. Not one to anybody but him. 53 calls. Slide 12, please. Can you play voicemail 1, please?
Yeah, that ain't great.
The calls keep coming. Cell phone temperature, 72 degrees. He's been outside now, not moving, on that cold, hard ground with his cell phone under him. The
That ain't great.
body, the cold ground, 72 degrees. It tells you the story. As this temperature plummets and that cell phone battery is compromised, so is John O'Keefe. And him and his cell phone alone on that yard. 66 degrees at 12:45. It is plummeting. Ian Whiffen's taking a phone and putting it in a freezer, not a same analogy. The idea that means that John O'Keefe went in the house, absurd. 66 turns to 61, it's 12:53. 48 unanswered calls from the defendant. He's not in at a party. He's not wrestling with Brian Higgins. He's not in a fight. If he's in a fight, his cell phone would be moving. There would be healthcare data. There'd be steps. If he got into the house in 20 seconds and his cell phone is found under his body the next day, then how would he get back outside? There would be more steps. because this phone is working. The data is the data. There's nothing wrong with it. It's registering everything. The temperature, the movement. He doesn't go in any house. He can't go in any house. His phone never moves again. Voicemail number 3, please. Listen to this.
John, I'm feeling you fucking kid. Nobody knows what the fuck you are, you fucking pervert.
Did you hear that? Nobody knows where you are. It is 12:59. John O'Keefe has been on that lawn for about 27 minutes. She hasn't called anybody else, hasn't spoken, has no information. Nobody's called her. You'll see her phone records. And she says, nobody knows where you are? She knows. She knows. Nobody does know where he is. Except her. Except her. Why is she asking nobody knows who you are? She is starting to get panicked. Because she knows she hit him. Not suggesting she meant to kill him. Or for him to die. But she knows she hit him. And now he's not responding. And she's getting nervous. And she's getting anxious. And she's leaving call after call after call. He's not answering. He's not calling back. He's not even picking up the phone. And we know what's happening at this point. Panic, drunken denial, it's setting in. And so then we see the healthcare data from Miss Reed's phone. She doesn't move after 1 o'clock. She could be sitting. She could have fallen asleep. But she doesn't move for a while. But she wakes up. She wakes up early the next morning. You can take that down, please. And when she wakes up, she doesn't call Jen McCabe and say, where's John? She doesn't call Brian Higgins. Has his number, has been texting with him. Hey, was John at a party with you? Did you see John tonight? She knows exactly where she is, and she's frantic. So she wakes up Kaylee, that young girl at the time, and she says, she's panicked, she can't understand what she's saying. Call Jen McCabe. Call Jen McCabe. Why is she calling Jen McCabe? She calls Jen McCabe. You know what she doesn't say when she calls Jen McCabe? When did he leave the house? What happened last night? No. She calls and says, I left him at the waterfall. I left him at the waterfall. See, now it's gone from panicked to self-preservation. I left him at the waterfall. And Jen says, left him at the waterfall? We saw you in front of the house. Click. Hangs up. Hangs up. So then she calls someone that she doesn't know very well. She calls Carrie Roberts. But now she has to pivot because someone has seen her in the exact spot that John will be found soon.
Jen
Whether
saw
she's
her
the
in
first
front of
one
the
there or
house.
somebody else, John will be found. Maybe Lucky missed him. It's a snowstorm. You can't see. But someone's going to find him at some point. So she calls Carrie Roberts. It's no longer she left him at the waterfall. She pivots. And she calls, Carrie, Carrie, Carrie. John's dead. I think he got hit by a plow. Why do you think she chose those words? Why did she choose those words? Because she knew that there was a collision with a large motor vehicle, and she had to substitute her 6,000-pound Lexus for another big vehicle. I think he got hit by a plow.
Nope.
And so now we have the introduction of
No, I'm buying it.
Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts. Phone calls that they probably never, ever wanted. A worse nightmare to get a call like that. For what's going to happen, what they're going to see, what they'll never be able to forget. But because the defendant is John O'Keefe's girlfriend, they wake up in the middle of the night, in a blizzard, out of their kindness, their loyalty, their devotion to John O'Keefe. And when she calls them and tells them that she wants them to come out, this soccer mom with a perfectly normal life gets drawn into this whole farce, and she answers that call. She gets out of bed. The spirit and kindness she displays to put herself in that position because someone asked for help, because that's what good people do. Kerry Roberts didn't know Jen McCabe. They both knew John. They met each other once years before. Kerry Roberts, separately at that time, answers the call, gets out of bed, drives to go help, because they have a common denominator, a common bond. John O'Keefe. And so you hear and see at 5:07 the defendant leaves Meadows. She leaves. And Kaylee is behind waiting. And you see her back up, and Judd Welch just showed you all of those demonstrations where you could see the unsettled snow in the back, and after the bump you can see the pieces missing, no taillight. There's no taillight on the ground, all the white snow. There's no crack, there's no break. It's a nudge. It's a nudge. But the taillight has already been broken, because when you look at the video, not one little piece, it's still framed, little angle with the light, the brakes are. You take a look, you'll be able to slow it down. You'll see the exact same piece is missing. Because it's back at Fairview. That's why it's missing. It's not there, it's back at Fairview. And then she leaves at 5:07. She gets to Jen McCabe's about, 5:35. 28 minutes. It's about a 10-minute ride. Where does she go in 28 minutes? Where does she go? We don't know. We don't have data for that. But we know when she gets to Jen McCabe's house, she is panicked, frantic, out of her mind, screaming, waking everybody up. Jen McCabe comes down, can't understand her, going out to the car to try to console her. Why is she so frantic? Why can't she speak? Why can't she say a word? Because John went out and had a drink and fell asleep on a couch? Because John would maybe be cheating on her? What is causing this extraordinary duress? Did she stop somewhere on the way by? Did she just see death? Kerry Roberts comes, take charge kind of person. She pulls him behind. She sees the broken taillight in Jen McCabe's driveway, and she decides she's going to commandeer this. We're going to back to Meadows. You're going to follow me. Leave the car. I'll drive. At this point, Jen and Kerry don't know each other. They've only met once. And they go back to Meadows. They obviously don't find John because he's back at 34 Fairview. And then they start their way towards 34 Fairview. They start driving towards 34 Fairview, and they're looking. And you heard from Kerry Roberts, Jen McCabe, they're looking out the window. They can't see a thing. The snow, the blizzard, the weather, the darkness, they can't see anything. And they're driving, and they decide they're going back to 34 Fairview. And this is remarkable. This is remarkable. When they start their way past towards 34 Fairview, they get close. And when they get close, they can see nothing. But the defendant screams, "Stop! Let me out!" And they look around and they say, "What? Let me out! Let me out!" She does not see John O'Keefe. She knows where he is. She knows exactly where he is. She knows where to find him. She knows where to expect to find them because she knows where she left him. She tells us. Slide 13, please.
Driving Jen's in the passenger seat. And I described this to everyone, so you probably know this before, but John looked like a buffalo on the prairie. It was just a lawn and a heap that it wasn't a bush or a hydrant or a dog. It was a weird shaped lump at that time in those elements. And I was looking to find him on the side of the road. I was expecting I'd find him.
Thank you. A weird shaped lump in a blizzard, and you equate that to John O'Keefe? A weird shaped lump, not like a bush, and that is John O'Keefe? She tells us she knows where she left John O'Keefe. And so they go over to Mr. O'Keefe, Kerry, and Karen. And she's upset, there's no doubt.
Yes, that's John O'Keefe
Not for a
Sr.
second trying to deprive her of
Yikes.
the unrest and the trauma that is happening at this scene. Doesn't change what happened before, but I appreciate the trauma. and they're trying to help him. And guess what happens when they first move him around 603, 604? Ian Whiffen, data. The cell phone battery gets the cool air, presses on the battery, the cell phone battery drops. Healthcare data, he has not moved since that 22nd, hasn't moved. They start shaking him, you're going to see, when you look at the records, that healthcare data starts to move. He's been there all night. All night. Nobody else. Her. And so when they try to help him, she says something that is remarkable. She says, there's a piece of glass stuck in his nose. And she plucks it out. And she says when she plucks it out, blood spurts out. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But remember that. Piece of glass, pulls it out, blood spurts out. That's what she says. As they try to help John, Jen is calling 911. They would like you to believe there's a conspiracy. That the glass that's found in Mr. O'Keefe's body is somehow from inside the Albert house. The glass, well, you will hear in the clips, if we don't play it, you'll have all the clips with you. She talks about the fact that he took her water. He took the glass. She says it. So the Albert house, they don't need to give the glass. He already has the glass with the straw that's later found on the street, by the way. That's what happens on an impact. Things move. The glass comes with him, lands near his body. Debris field moves past him. Shoe, hat, straw. Jen McCabe makes a call to her sister, and they say because it registers 29 seconds, a Cellbrite record is not the same as a call detail record. There is no evidence. It was a conversation. No lights go on. There's no conspiracy. You can call somebody. It can ring. It can go to voicemail. They have no evidence, none, that there's a conversation between Jen McCabe, the person who was ripped out of her sleep to come help, and her sister for some grand conspiracy. And so what happens next is traumatic. Kerry Roberts and Jen McCabe see their best friend prone, lifeless, frozen, on the ground. And they're living this torment because somebody brought them into this. When they're trying to help John, there is not one suggestion from anybody that John ever went into that house. There's no reason to go into that house because John was never in the house. Not one time does anybody say, what time did he leave? I thought he went in there. Not even a whisper of it because it never, ever happened. When they find their friend John, he's not 20 feet off the side of the road like Mr. Rentschler or Mr. Wolf thinks. He's right there by the side of the road.
You sure about that?
Could we have slide 14, please? You can see there's Kerry Roberts' vehicle, and then on the left, you can see where they're working. Right off the road, that's not 20 feet. That is a clip, a stumble, and a fall. And remember, when John O'Keefe fell, there wasn't snow. It was just the beginning of a dusting. It was the cold, hard ground. And remember what Dr. Isaac Wolf told us about cold, hard ground? Causes this type of injury all the time. All the time. If we could go to slide 16, please. Remember the glass in the nose? The glass in the nose. See on the bottom left, that's where the Canton Police Department found the glass that he took from the car, from the waterfall. And then exhibit 195, matching glass. On February 3rd, the matching piece of glass was found on the street. The matching piece of glass, the glass that was found with Mr. O'Keefe, was found on the street. He didn't fall back 8-10 feet from the road. It broke, and then it shattered and went to the street. I would suggest to you it broke at the time of the collision, and he carried the glass with him, leaving the evidence behind, a trail to memorialize what happened to him that night. Remember the straw I asked you to take a look at that picture and leaving the waterfall at 12:12, the black straw in the drink on the street.
The black straw.
Collision, glass, nose, straw, back, hits his head. Can you play the clip on the left, please? 59.
So when John got out of the car at Brian Albert's house, he took my full.
Uh-oh, what happened? We lost the feed for a second.
So John's laying there, his left and his right, and I approached John from the left. That's where the street is. And he had a piece of glass, like, perched on his nose, like just wedged like a splinter would be. And it just pulled it, and as soon as I pulled it, it just gushed blood down his face.
Thank you.
What happened in the house?
911's called by Jen McCabe. She's not hiding from anybody. She's trying to help. She's bringing attention to the situation. And when 911 comes, we have first responders. These people are heroes. Some of them, you've heard from some of them, they were born to help people. That's what their life is about. The detail on all their mechanics, of getting to work 2 hours early in the middle of the blizzard so that you're there on time so you can help people. These are the core of our community. Mr. Nuttall, this is what he does. He rushes to go help. He's the first person on his knees. He doesn't know this person from anybody. But to him, it's another human being. This is his passion. Katie McLaughlin, first responder, this is not just a profession, it's her life. Yes, she knows Caitlin Albert. Do you think she went there that night at a party and set up a murder and came back? And so they tell you what happens at the scene.
No, I don't think Karen hit him.
Some things hard to remember, some things people will never forget. When you're in a traumatic incident, sometimes it's something you'll never, ever forget. And Timothy Nuttall remembers speaking to the defendant. I hit him. Remember, he's on his knees. What happened? I hit him. She is now coming to terms with the moment. I don't trust his memory. Her fear is realized. She hit him. She clipped him. She didn't think he was mortally wounded. She panicked. She can't come to terms with it, so she has to bring people with her to face it. And now she's facing the reality of what she had done. And her emotion is overwhelming. I hit him. She speaks to Miss McLaughlin. I hit him. Not did I hit him, could I hit him, perhaps I hit him. That was earlier. Now she's recognizing what she did. I hit him. And these people are making it up. Anybody that says anything adverse or inconsistent or inconvenient is a liar or a perjurer or in on a conspiracy. Or is it that these good people who went there for a total stranger to do their duty to help happen to remember that she admitted what she had done?
Well, Miss McLaughlin wasn't a stranger.
The boogeyman Proctor and the bad government. I know it doesn't reconcile with no DNA on this piece or that piece. I know it doesn't reconcile with everybody setting up the girl. I know that doesn't reconcile. But the reality is you have independent, core people who hear her say, I hit him. And the attempt is to portray everybody as a liar. But you don't have to rely just on these good people, although you should. You should. You don't have to, because we have a guide, and it's Karen Reed. Slide 17.
So I must have said was, did I hit him? I've always said I hit him, but did I really say this many times as law enforcement's claiming I said it?
Thank you. I know it doesn't fit the theme, the theory, the story, but she tells you herself. She endorses those good people exactly what they had heard. She tells you herself she hit him. It's undeniable, it's unmistakable, it's inconvenient. But the truth has a way of seeping up to the daylight. It can be oppressed and suppressed and pushed down and covered and twisted, but it rises. It rises. And it is not a coincidence. There's no coincidence that Mr. Nuttall and Miss McLaughlin hear exactly that. She tells you. And Jen McCabe, when she's sitting next to or standing next to Miss McLaughlin, she tells you she saw or heard the same thing. Remember what happened to her on the stand when she had the audacity to say, I heard her say it? What happened to her?
I just realized I muted myself. The problem is Katie McLaughlin is friends with some of the witnesses, and he just said That these people didn't know John O'Keefe. They didn't know who John O'Keefe was. Come on, man.
Stop the cap. This woman who never even wanted to leave her home that day pulled out into a storm to see her best friend dead. What happened when she had the audacity to say that? And now we know that the defendant herself said the same thing. And the funny thing, the ironic thing is, you will see in a photo when Miss McLaughlin, firefighter, was speaking to the defendant, Miss McCabe was next to her. Miss McCabe was trying to protect her, trying to shut her up. Don't talk, you're upset, stop saying crazy things. The villain of the story was trying to help the defendant from incriminating herself. The irony. Could we have slide 9, please?